You wake up tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind that sits behind your eyes. Quiet, heavy, like something never really turned off. You went to bed on time. You even tried to rest. But somehow, your mind feels like it's been running all night. And during the day, you function. You show up. You do what you're supposed to do. But underneath it all, you feel drained. Like your energy's always slightly out of reach. And you can't fully explain why. Psychology says feeling constantly tired isn't always about your body needing rest. Sometimes it's your mind. Sometimes it's your emotions. Sometimes it's the invisible weight you've been carrying for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to not carry it. And that kind of tired is harder to notice, but much deeper, because it doesn't come from doing too much physically. It comes from thinking too much, feeling too much, holding too much inside. You know that feeling when your body is still, but your mind isn't? You're lying in bed, everything is quiet, but your thoughts are replaying conversations, imagining scenarios, analyzing things you said or didn't say. That constant mental activity, even when it feels subtle, is exhausting. Psychologists call this cognitive load. But in everyday life, it just feels like your brain never fully rests. You're always processing something, trying to understand people, trying to predict outcomes, trying to avoid mistakes. And over time, that quiet overthinking turns into fatigue, not because you're weak, but because your brain has been working overtime, without breaks. And the thing is, you might not even notice it anymore, because it feels normal to you. Another reason you might feel this way is emotional regulation. You don't always express everything you feel. You hold things in. You stay calm when you're overwhelmed. You stay quiet when something bothers you. You stay composed even when your mind is not. From the outside, you seem fine. But internally, you're managing a lot. And managing emotions silently takes energy, more than most people realize. It's like running an invisible background process all day, constantly adjusting your reactions, filtering your words, balancing your feelings. And that kind of control slowly drains you. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It might just mean you've learned to handle things quietly. And that's not weakness, but it does come with a cost. Sometimes your tiredness isn't about what you're doing. It's about what you're not allowing yourself to release. There's also something else that plays a role here. The way you relate to people. If you're someone who values deep connection, but often finds yourself in surface-level interactions, that mismatch can be exhausting. You give attention, you listen, you try to connect, but it doesn't always feel returned in the same depth. And over time, that emotional imbalance starts to wear you down. So you adjust. You lower expectations. You stop expressing as much. You become more self-contained. But that doesn't remove the need for connection. It just hides it. And unmet emotional needs don't disappear. They sit quietly in the background, taking energy from you little by little. That kind of tired isn't loud. It's subtle, but constant. Another thing that often goes unnoticed is how much you compare yourself without even realizing it. Not in an obvious way, but quietly. You see people who seem more energetic, more confident, more socially comfortable. And somewhere in your mind, you start measuring yourself against them. Why can't I be like that? Why does everything feel harder for me? And even if you don't say it out loud, that internal comparison creates pressure. Pressure to be more, to do more, to feel differently. Psychologists call this social comparison. But for you, it just feels like you're always trying to catch up to a version of yourself that feels easier. And that constant pressure is draining because you're not just living your life, you're evaluating it at the same time. That dual process, living and analyzing, is exhausting. And again, this doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It might just mean you're more aware, more reflective, more tuned in. And that awareness comes with weight. There's also something deeper, something that doesn't always get talked about. Sometimes you're tired because you've been in survival mode for too long. Not in an extreme way, but in small, everyday ways. Always being alert, always thinking ahead, always preparing for what might go wrong. Even when things are okay, your mind doesn't fully relax because it's used to anticipating, used to staying ready. And when your nervous system stays in that state for too long, it gets tired. Not suddenly, but slowly, quietly, until one day you realize even resting doesn't feel like rest anymore because your mind doesn't know how to switch off. It just knows how to stay prepared. And that's not your fault. It's something your brain learned to protect you. But protection, over time, can turn into exhaustion. There's also the emotional weight of being someone who thinks deeply, who reflects on everything, who notices details others miss, who feels things maybe a little more intensely. That kind of depth is beautiful, but it's also heavy because you don't just experience moments, you absorb them, you carry them, you revisit them. And even when nothing is happening, your mind is still processing, still trying to understand, still trying to make sense of things. And that constant inner dialogue takes energy. A lot of it. You might look at others and wonder how they seem so light, so effortless. But what you don't see is that your mind works differently. It goes deeper. And that depth, while meaningful, requires more from you. So when you feel tired all the time, it's not always because you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it's because you've been doing too much internally, too much thinking, too much holding, too much managing quietly. And maybe what you need isn't just more sleep. Maybe it's moments where you don't have to think so much, where you don't have to analyze, where you don't have to hold everything together. Even small moments, where you let your mind rest without pressure, where you allow yourself to feel without needing to control it, where you stop trying to be okay and just be, because real rest isn't just physical. It's mental, it's emotional. It's giving yourself permission to not carry everything all the time. And if you've been feeling this kind of tired, the quiet kind, the constant kind, the kind you can't fully explain, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It might just mean you've been strong for too long in ways no one sees. And strength like that needs rest too. Not just sleep, but space, understanding, and maybe a little more gentleness with yourself. So the next time you feel tired, instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" maybe ask, "What have I been carrying that I haven't put down?" If you enjoy understanding human behavior like this, subscribe and tell me, what's one thing your mind has been holding on to lately that you haven't given yourself permission to release?